Every once in a while, a Pokemon's base stats will get modified. Usually Game Freak raises their stats as opposed to lowering them. Many Pokemon have gotten buffed over the years, but a lot of said buffs weren't very helpful. So what's up fellas, my name is Matt, and today we're gonna look at some of them, and talk about why each Pokemon would rather get help in a different area. Alright, let's get started.
What's up, I'm Elias, and Electrode's stat spread has always been pretty underwhelming. When it was added in Gen 1, its base speed stat was 140, making it the fastest Pokemon in the game at the moment. The problem is, it can't really do much with that speed because all its other stats are mediocre at best. It can learn Explosion, which is nice, but that doesn't hit as hard as you'd like. Electrode's base attack stat is just 50, which is terrible. Explosion's damage also got cut in half starting in Gen 5, which made Electrode even weaker.
80 special attack isn't the worst thing of all time, but it's also not great. It would be nice if its Thunderbolts and whatnot were a little stronger. So in Generation 7, Electrode got 10 points added to its speed. Now it's got a base stat of 150. Great. Now it can outspeed, well, not many more Pokemon actually. In Gen 7, there are only 5 Pokemon with base speed stats between 140 and 149. All of them are miles better than Electrode in battle too, so that buff didn't really do it any favors. Pop quiz, what are those Pokemon?
Why would I know that?
What do you mean you haven't memorized every single Pokemon and their base stats? You call yourself a Pokemon fan?
A high speed stat is great and all, but if you want to be effective, you need to bring something else to the table. Because otherwise you move first, and then what? You fire off a mediocre Thunderbolt and die? Being really fast is no good if it's your only decent stat. 10 more speed is probably the worst stat buff Electrode could have gotten. It was already one of the fastest Pokemon in the game, so it would much rather have help in the other departments. Buffing its special attack or one of its defensive stats would have been preferable. Heck, even an attack buff would have been more impactful, because then its explosion would hit a little harder.
Pidgeot is in a similar camp as well. Most regional birds aren't very strong, although we'll be looking at a much better one a little later. In Gens 1 through 5, Pidgeot's highest stat was its 91 base speed. That's not exactly the greatest stat in the universe, and it's all downhill from here. Hey, I didn't say it was that far downhill. None of Pidgeot's stats are abysmal or anything, but there are a ton of normal flying types in the game, and Pidgeot doesn't stand out from the competition with numbers like these.
Fiero and Dodrio completely run circles around Pidgeot, thanks to their higher attack and speed stats. Pidgeot does have the advantage in the bulk department, but it can't exactly sit around eating hits for 500 million years. Its abilities are pretty underwhelming as well. Hang on, what does Big Pex even do again?
Do you have any idea what Big Pex does?
It boosts the power of pecking moves.
Not a bad guess, no. It prevents Pokemon from lowering your defense. It also increases Pidgeot's bench press by 1 plate.
That's pretty impressive.
In Gen 6, Pidgeot got a 10-point buff to its speed, bringing the stat up to 101. Now it outspeeds a bunch more Pokemon, including Dodrio, whose base speed isn't even 100. Like we said with Electrode, high speed stats are fine and all, but just being fast isn't enough to succeed. Our guy's other stats are still mediocre at best, and its move pool isn't great, so base Pidgeot remained underwhelming.
That speed buff wouldn't have made much of a difference anyway, because Pidgeot got a Mega Evolution at the same time. Mega Pidgeot is an even faster special attacker, and its defensive stats got a small boost as well. Pidgeot was a much bigger threat in Gen 6 and 7, but not because of its speed buff. Unfortunately, the Mega is gone for the time being, so we're left with the base form's, underwhelming stat spread, to put it nicely. But Megas are on their way back in Legend ZA, so let's hope they stick around this time.
Oh yeah, you know how we said base Pidgeot outspeeds Dodrio starting in Gen 6? Yeah, about that. Pidgeot's speed advantage lasted a whopping 1 generation. In Sun and Moon, Dodrio got a 10-point speed buff of its own, and it also got Sword Stance. So base Pidgeot is right back to being a budget Dodrio, which isn't exactly a very high bar. Go girl, give us nothing. Pidgeot isn't available in Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet, but it wouldn't have much to do in these games anyway. Many other normal flying types completely dunk on this guy. Welp, let's hope its Mega saves it from obscurity.
Nidoking and Nidoqueen are both strong Pokemon. Their stat spreads are pretty balanced like Pidgeot's, but the Nidos have a number of advantages. First off, they can learn, like, every move in the observable universe. They've got Earthquake, Surf, Ice Beam, Fire Blast, Thunderbolt, Body Press, Nidoking Punch, Nidoqueen Kick, Nidoking Beam. They also have Sheer Force, which is one of the best boosting abilities in the game. By combining it with a Life Orb, most of their moves hit nearly 70% harder than usual. The recoil damage from the Life Orb is also cancelled out for some reason. We take those.
Pop quiz, at what point did I start making up moves in this list?
Nidoking Beam.
Nidoking and Nidoqueen didn't really need a buff per se, because they already do quite well in singles. But you know what they say, don't ask and you shall receive anyway, smile. They both got 10 points added to their attack stats in X and Y. That brought Nidoqueen's base attack to 92, and Nidoking's to 102. Despite those buffs though, both Nido still use special attacks instead, even though their physical attack stats are higher. So what's up with that? Nidoking Punch and Nidoqueen Kick are real? You guys just haven't found them yet. Look harder.
They exist on my fake Pokemon cards, so they must be real.
True.
Well, for starters, Sheer Force only boosts moves with secondary effects. That means Nidoking and Nidoqueen prefer Earth Power because that move gets the Sheer Force boost and Earthquake doesn't. Keep in mind that not every additional property of a move counts as a secondary effect. Earth Power's chance to lower special defense is a secondary effect, but Earthquake dealing double damage to underground targets is not. As a general rule of thumb, if a move can do something else after dealing damage aside from recoil, that's a secondary effect.
Since Earth Power gets the Sheer Force boost, it deals more damage than Earthquake for the Nidos, despite the fact that they have lower special attack stats. Their Poison Stabs are better on the special side too. Poison Jab and Sludge Wave have the same accuracy, but Sludge Wave has a higher base power. Aside from that, special moves are the way to go for coverage as well. Most of their special moves do more damage, compared to their physical counterparts. Since most of them also activate Sheer Force, special moves are better across the board for the Nidos.
The attack buffs didn't really change how Nidoking or Nidoqueen get used. In a playthrough, you can still slap on whatever moves you want, and they still mostly use special moves in competitive play. They're just as strong as they were before in singles, and they're still rarely seen in doubles. If we were to buff their stats, we'd definitely focus on other areas. Nidoking would appreciate more bulk, and Nidoqueen would appreciate more speed.
So, last night I sent Elias, a question from this game show Only Connect. What do you guys think comes forth? We'll tell you in next week's video. This next stat buff is almost completely useless. Azumarill has a very low base stat total for a third stage Pokemon. Prior to Gen 6, it had a total of 410, which is lower than many second stage starters, like Crocalor and Duwat. Its base attacking stats are nothing to write home about either, 50 attack and 50 special attack.
Fortunately, Azumarill has some incredible tools at its disposal, which make it an absolute powerhouse. It can learn Belly Drum, which maxes out its attack stat in exchange for half its total HP, but Azumarill can still hold a Citrus Berry, which effectively cuts the HP cost in half. It's also got the ability Huge Power, which doubles its attack stat, so Azumarill's attack is equivalent to base 149, assuming it's got perfect EVs, IVs, and an attack boosting nature. You can also pass on Belly Drum and hold a Choice Band instead for more immediately threatening damage. I'm gonna go make lunch quickly. I just have like a leftover sandwich that I have to put in the toaster for like 5 minutes. Do you mind if I do that?
Yeah, do that. I don't need you, starving. Huge Power is Azumarill's best ability choice by far, so it's almost exclusively used as a physical attacker. But in Pokemon X and Y, it got 10 points added to its special attack. That did approximately nothing for the sentient Beach Ball, because 60 special attack is still pathetic. Azumarill also doesn't have very good tools to boost its special attack.
Belly Drum provides an absolutely massive attack boost. Maxing out a stat is nothing to sneeze at, even though it costs a big chunk of health. Azumarill doesn't have anything close to Belly Drum on the special side. It can't learn Nasty Plot, Calm Mind, or any of that stuff. The only special attack boosting move it can learn is Work Up, which also raises physical attack. There's no Huge Power equivalent on the special side either, so Azumarill is still way better off using physical moves.
Oh, I used nothing to sneeze at in this next paragraph too.
Nothing to cough at.
Azumarill honestly didn't need a buff in the first place. Thanks to Huge Power, it's been an absolute beast for a long time, ever since the physical special split in Gen 4. It's been in the UU tier or higher in every game since then, which is nothing to have indeterminate bodily functions at. Ugh. I guess that if we had to buff something, we'd add some points to its speed. That way, it can outspeed more Pokemon, and it wouldn't have to rely on Aqua Jet so much. Alternatively, we could just add 122 points to its base attack stat, and keep Huge Power because we love seeing the world burn. We will not be taking questions at this time.
This next stat buff kind of flew under the radar. It also kind of fell flat. Cherrim's Overcast form has the same stats in every game, but in Legends Arceus only, the Sunshine form got a few buffs. That's because abilities don't exist in this game, so the Sunshine form's base stats were modified to simulate the effects of Flower Gift.
When Harsh Sunlight is active on the field, Cherrim turns into its Sunshine form. In most games, Flower Gift boosts its attack and special defense by 50%. The ability does the same for Cherrim's teammate in doubles as well. In Legends Arceus, this boost was applied directly to Cherrim's base stats, which results in a smaller stat increase. Its base attack is 60, so the Sunshine form's base attack is 90 in this game. In a similar vein, its special defense went from 78 to 117. Yeah, writing 1984 in Animal Farm is very different compared to writing a script for a silly little YouTube video. video.
What do you mean? This is just as serious.
Right, this is just as serious. We're talking about Nidoking Punch, or whatever it is I said.
Just as serious. Ooh, my food is ready. I'll be right back. Long story short, Game Freak went about this the wrong way. When you multiply a base stat by 1.5, it's almost always going to be worse than multiplying the Pokemon's actual stat instead. Legends Arceus has a unique stat formula, so he went ahead and did the math. If your base attack stat is 60, you can have up to 250 attack at level 100. With a base attack stat of 90, the maximum is 333, which is just a 33% increase. So even despite the stat buff, Sunshine form Cherrim is weaker in this game compared to all the others.
And when we say we went ahead and did the math, I mean Elias did it all, smile.
No, Matt did all of it. I didn't do anything. I'm just eating my sandwich.
Elias has been doing nothing but eating sandwiches since last week's video.
I have been doing nothing but teleport bread.
Wow. Out of all the regional birds, Staraptor is one of the best. It's tied with Toucan for the highest attack, and it's got a solid speed stat too. Staraptor can deal a ton of damage with moves like Brave Bird, Close Combat, and Double Edge, and it also has access to flying type stuff trademark like Defog and Roost. U-Turn is also a valuable pivoting move, so Staraptor has quite a solid moveset. In Gens 4 and 5, it was banned from UU, the second highest tier in singles. It's a strong Pokemon, but it wasn't quite good enough to be ranked in OU, the next tier up. In Gen 6, Staraptor got a buff to its special defense stat, which propelled it straight to Ubers. Staraptor absolutely destroys every legendary in its path. No, just kidding. It stayed in ban list limbo. That buff barely made a difference.
A special defense boost is like, fine, but Staraptor is still frail on the special side, and using close combat as coverage doesn't help matters. Even with the buff, special moves still turn Staraptor to dust. If we were to buff its defensive stats, we think an HP boost would have been more helpful, and we've got two reasons why. First off, Staraptor relies heavily on moves that deal recoil damage, which are boosted further by its ability Reckless. The recoil you take is proportional to the damage you deal, so a higher HP stat would help Staraptor survive a little longer.
Final Gambit is also a useful tool for this guy, in singles and doubles alike. The user deals damage equal to their current HP, then faints. So the more health you have, the more damage this move can dish out, which makes you more likely to KO an opponent too. A speed buff would also be quite nice. Staraptor's base stat of 100 is already good, but that means it ties with many threatening Pokemon. 110 speed would give it an advantage against more Pokemon. Unlike Pidgeot and Electrode, Staraptor hits hard enough for a speed buff to be worth it. Name a red food.
Tomato.
Apple was number 1. If mom wasn't around, what would kids not do in the morning?
Brush their teeth.
Brush your teeth is number 1.
Game Freak buffed a ton of Pokemon stats in Gen 6 and 7, but they stopped doing it entirely in Gen 8, aside from the temporary Cherrim buff. The only other Pokemon to have stats modified in the past 2 gens are Aegislash, Zacian, Zamazenta, and Cresselia, and all 4 of them were nerfed instead. That's a real shame too, because a lot of Pokemon could use a buff. As we've seen throughout this video though, a lot of the stat buffs haven't been very helpful.
Name a phrase that starts with Persian. Persian blank.
Persian cat. Oh shit.
Persian Rug was
God
number
damn
1.
It.
My answer was Persian cat too, don't worry about it. How often do you cut your toenails?
Once a week.
Yeah, once a week was number 1. Don't get us wrong, there have been some quite useful buffs too. Pelipper was buffed in multiple in Gen 7. It gained access to Drizzle, which made it a staple on rain teams, but it also got a 10-point special attack boost, bringing the base stat from 85 to 95, so now it also hits harder than Politoed, the other non-legendary Drizzle user. That buff paired well with its role as well as its move pool, which includes stuff like Scald and Hurricane, so this guy can do a lot more than just set up rain and die. The special attack buff isn't the most important one Pelipper got, but it was a much appreciated bonus.
Well, I burned it a little bit.
Aw, man.
I put it in for a little too long.
Fiddlesticks. For what specific reason did you get your last, traffic ticket?
Speeding.
Speeding's number 1.
Of course it is. The f***? Who gets traffic tickets for anything else? I definitely would have just said speeding and let you handle the rest there. We probably could have won this fast money round between the two of us.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not related. Hey, want to get married? The answer's no way.
Yeah, how'd you know?
For all I know, you could be eating a whole turkey every day.
I wish I could.
That's too much turkey, don't you think?
No.
Is this thing on? Hey, I found another shiny. I was just minding my own business, singing at the top of my lungs in a range I have no business singing in, but hey, I found a shiny Mudbray. What's this thing's name? You look like a Yolanda. Alright, well, back to singing at the top of my lungs, I guess. Bye. Well, that's all we got for today. Leave a comment about Swadloon, subscribe to the channel for more nonsense like this, and consider becoming a channel member for as little as 99 cents a month. You'll get access to bonus content like deleted scenes, and it'll help us keep making these videos. Shoutouts to our newest member, Save Frog. catalog, alongside all our existing ones. We'll see you all next time. Good night, fellas. Sleep well. Yes, you know I wish it would rain down over me.